Okay, I literally have like 2 hours until my next class starts and I have to drive back to my university, but I want to talk about Captain America. Why? Because not only is he my favorite Avenger, but I think he's well worth talking about, so here we go. I'm Jacob Suggs and welcome back to another video. And if there's anything that people love these days, it's comic book movies, mainly Marvel. And I'm not saying that DC isn't good either. I mean, you guys know me, I love DC too, but Marvel for the sake of this topic. I mean, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or MCU, is kind of a big deal, and not only are the majority of these films pretty good, but they're also pretty great at the box office as well. And the fact that Marvel's built the cinematic universe has inspired other companies to build cinematic universes like the Monsterverse with Godzilla and King Kong, the DC Extended Universe, the Dark Knight Trilogy, and a Ghostbusters cinematic universe? Not all of these are fitting. I mean, really. But when I think of cinematic universes, and namely superhero trilogies, I can't help but to go back to the Captain America trilogy as one of the most groundbreaking and interesting that I've seen. I say that because the Captain America trilogy is probably the most diverse trilogy I've seen in my entire life. What I mean by that is the first Avenger, the first installment in the series, is basically a 1940s World War II epic involving a superhero origin story. And then you have the Winter Soldier, which is basically this modern day action thriller, political thriller with lots of character development and rising stakes. And then finally, and most recently and most popular, Captain America: Civil War. And Civil War primarily deals with the repercussions of actions that superheroes take in the process of saving the world, and they can't save everybody sometimes. And not only that, but it also affects the team that you're working with since everybody has a different opinion on a matter. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I grew up primarily accustomed to DC Comics superheroes. I knew Batman, Superman, Green Lantern. I can tell you way more about DC than I can with Marvel. But Captain America was kind of the exception to that, in that I grew up with Captain America as well, and I just know a lot about Captain America. And to this day, he's still one of my favorite Avengers. He is my favorite Avenger. What am I talking about? You see, Captain America is one of those heroes that I've always admired. He believes in truth, justice, and the American way, but has those really quote-unquote old-fashioned values that make him interesting when he's thrust into modern-day issues that were basically non-existent back in the 40s. And this is seen in Civil War, so spoilers if you haven't seen Civil War, but everybody that Captain America knows is either having an identity crisis, or dead, or dying, and that's really heartbreaking when you think about it, but honestly, I think it makes him an even more compelling character. Because you're basically asking a dude from the 40s his opinion on modern day issues, and maybe he doesn't entirely know what those issues are. That being said though, and with all of that being said, one thing's for sure. When Captain America sees symbols of oppression and tyranny like Ultron, Loki, and Thanos, he's gonna step up and fight for what he believes is right. I mean, I think this is showcased perfectly in The Winter Soldier, because in The Winter Soldier, spoilers for The Winter Soldier, but you should have seen the movie by now. Honestly, if you haven't seen any of the Captain America movies, just please go watch them, they're well worth your time. But when Captain America sees one of his best friends as a brainwashed Soviet assassin, he doesn't just go up and stop him like he does, with every other villain. Instead, Captain America decides to go up to his friend and help him get his life back, not because he has to, but because he wants to, even if that risks his own security, freedoms, and basically the public view. When his allies have different opinions than he does, he stands up for what he believes in, even if that means potentially having to tear apart the Avengers, or honestly destroy some of his most cherished friendships. Captain America is the perfect example of how to develop a character and how to balance both old and new aspects. I mean, ultimately my favorite line in any of the Marvel films is actually from the first Avenger, believe it or not. Not saying that the first Avenger is my favorite Marvel film, but my favorite line from this entire cinematic universe comes from the first Avenger. And there's a lot of great moments in that movie, like when Steve jumps out on the smoke grenade to save his teammates when everybody else jumps away, or when he's transformed from just a scrawny kid from Brooklyn into a larger-than-life hero. And although this film may be the weakest of the trilogy in my opinion, I think that it's one of the most profound statements honestly that I've heard in a film in a long time, and I think it perfectly sums up what Captain America is and what he stands for. And in the scene, it's when Steve Rogers, the scrawny kid, is just trying to sign up to fight for what's right against the Nazis in Germany during World War II, and the man looks at Steve and goes, "Do you want to kill Nazis?" And Steve Rogers looks back at the man and he goes, "I don't want to kill anybody. I just don't like bullies and I don't care where they're from." And see, that's what makes Captain America such a great hero in my eyes, and what makes him stand out and special to so many other people. Captain America is not just avenging a person, but rather fighting for what he thinks is right, no matter the consequences. He fights with old-fashioned values for modern-day issues, and I think that speaks volumes for itself. And that's why Captain America is my favorite Avenger, and I kind of wanted to talk about it a little bit because I feel like I need to talk about one of my favorite superheroes on this channel. I mean, I've talked about Batman, Superman, a little bit about Spider-Man, but I mean, I've never really talked about Captain America other than when discussing the films, and here we are. And that's why I think that Captain America is hands down my favorite Avenger and one of the best heroes out there in modern day. So what do you guys think of Captain America? Why does Captain America mean something to you guys? Let me know down in the comments below. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Frame by Frame. Remember the name, and I'll see you in the next Frame by Frame film review.